Hey, this is Todd Phillips, your online pastor and personal life coach. I'm going to talk today about a topic that a lot of people deal with, and that's the topic of worry. How many of us worry all day, every day? I can't tell you the number of people that I talk to that are constantly dealing with this issue, worrying about things that are about to come or things that have already happened or what's coming down the pike in their family or their work life, whatever that might be. Worry is a huge issue, and so today we're going to talk about how not to worry. The first thing I want to talk about today is this, that we need to focus on living in the present, living in the moment. One of the biggest challenges people have is being members of what I call the if only club. And let me explain that. There's a lot of people that will spend a lot of time looking at their past and saying things like, if only I'd finished college, or if only I'd stayed with that boyfriend or that girlfriend, or if only I'd have lived or grown up in a different family. We look back and all these challenges we see in our past, and we live looking back and saying, if only that were different, then things would be better today. Or, and a lot of us deal with it this way, we look into the future and say, if only I could get out of high school or college, if only I could get another job, if only I could have a different girlfriend or boyfriend, if only I could get out of this marriage, whatever it might be. We're members of the if only club. We worry because we can't let go of the past, and we worry too much about the future to really live truly in the moment while it's still today. And because of that, a lot of us don't experience joy and the contentment and the peace that God promises us this side of heaven. We've got to learn to live in the present. One of the greatest things we can do as human beings is to let go of our past. Whatever challenges, whatever crisis, whatever loss, whatever that might be back there, is letting go of the past and not worrying so much about the future that we can't find joy while it's still today. So living in the present. One of the things I hear from people, by the way, in that issue is they go, look, I wish I had more money and then I'd be more giving. I hear that all the time. I'm going to make $1 million and then I'm going to be more giving. I promise you this, more of anything never made anyone more joyful. More money never made anyone more generous. This is something we all need to understand. And it's so important. If we're not giving now, if we're not generous now when we have nothing, we're not going to be generous when we have everything. Generosity is an issue of the heart. It's not an issue of our bank account. And so one of the things that we need to understand as we look back at our past and we even look forward to what we think our future will be is that God's got things under control. He's told us we can let go of our past, and He's got control of the future so that we can live in the day while it's still today. The second thing to keep us from worrying is to realize just how useless worry is. I want to read you a passage out of Luke chapter 12. Jesus says this in verse 25 and 26, and I love this. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life? Great question. He says this, since you can't do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Boy, I mean, that hits me right where it counts. The bottom line is that there's a whole lot of things we worry about that we have absolutely no control over. I remember working at Dell Computer, this was many years ago, and I remember this gentleman that sat right next to me in a cubicle. He got up one morning right after the job started, went to the bathroom, and while he was in the bathroom, he heard a rumor from someone that there was going to be a new boss coming into our department. And this guy, my friend that sat next to me, hated this guy that he thought was going to be his new boss. So instead of working that day, he walked around all the different departments and talked to dozens of different people to find out if this new guy was going to be his boss, if the rumor was true. By the end of the day, he'd worked himself up with so much worry, he believed so strongly that this guy was going to be his new boss, that he quit. He quit. Well, you know the end of the story, right? Or at least you can guess. The guy that he thought was going to be his boss never came over to our department. He allowed himself to build up all this worry, this whirlwind of challenges that never really came to pass. How many times do we worry about things, number one, that we have no control over, and number two, that never come to pass? I want you to be thinking about this, the fact that worry is just useless. It not only doesn't add a single hour to our life or a single minute to our life. Science will tell us now that living a life of worry will take not just hours or minutes, but months and years and even decades off of our lives. The uselessness of worry. Number three, And this is coming from my perspective. You may be watching this and you're a Christ follower. You know, I'm a Christian if you've been watching these videos. I'm a Christ follower. You may be a Christ follower. And what's amazing about the fact of having a relationship with God is that we can realize that God is our provider. That we don't have to worry about things because we know God is in control. One of my favorite passages is in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 and 7. It says this, and boy, this is good. Listen to this. Don't be anxious about anything. Is that even possible? Right? But he says it. He says, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And then it says this, and the peace of God, don't we all want peace? And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard our hearts and our minds in Christ Jesus. What an incredible promise that as Christ followers, if we have a relationship with God, that we don't have to worry because we know God's in control, that we can take our anxiety, we can take our fears, we can take our doubts and our worries, and we can cast them over to God. We can pray with thanksgiving and make our request to Him without worrying about the results because God's in control. Listen, if you're watching this and you're not a Christian, you wouldn't call yourself by that name as a Christian. Maybe you're wondering if God really exists. I want you to take a minute at the end of this video. You'll see a link at the bottom of the screen. I want to encourage you to go to listen to some other people that have a relationship with this God of the universe. And I want you to just listen and think about what they have to say, because if it's true, if God really exists and He really wants to know you, and He does, having a relationship with Him can give you peace and contentment and take the worry away. Wouldn't that be incredible? So in summary, we need to live in the present, not be members of the if only group. We need to realize the uselessness of worry. There's a lot of things we're out of control of anyway. We can worry all day long. It won't change it a bit. And then finally, number 3, if we have a relationship with God, we can worry less because we know God is watching over us. He's our provider. Until we see each other next time, live passionately, give generously, and have an impact on the world for God. Hey, it's Todd. Did you get something out of the video you just watched? I really hope you did. I mean, that's my passion, to give you something that can be applied rightly to your life right now. Listen, if that happened, I want you to go right here and just click on this subscribe button, and it'll take you straight to the page so you can subscribe to my blog and get this content coming to your inbox every week. I hope you'll let me do that. I hope you'll allow us to be on this journey together. We'll see you soon.